This is the unofficial Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures Game podcast. So strap yourself in,
stay on target,
fly casual, let the Wookiee win,
and more importantly, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the X-Wing podcast. And today's episode we're going to be talking all about space mats, and I've even got Mr. Johnson doing some show notes for me as well.
Believe it or not,
Believe it or not.
Space mats, that's...
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I started writing the episode and I thought we're going to be talking about gaming tables, play mats, Starfield mats, space mats.
Play mats, maybe
play
a little
mats.
bit better.
Well, I don't
Although
know.
it does make it sound very much like a toy.
I like space mat, so that's what we're going to call it.
Can we just call it a board?
Yeah, we can talk about gaming tables, gaming boards, whatever. We're going to talk about things to play X-Wing on that isn't just a table.
Okay.
So that generally is kind of the mats that you can buy, boards
Yeah.
you can make, and also what we're using, which is custom printed vinyl mats, which we'll talk about where we got ours from and how we went about doing that.
By we.
By we.
You mean you've still got
Yeah.
both of them?
I've still got both of them
Yeah.
because you're not to be trusted.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the main topic, we're just going to talk about a bit about what we've been up to, because I've been playing quite a bit, I think, compared to what I've done between previous episodes.
Yeah, me not so much, unfortunately.
But you have been to an event, so we'll start with that one, I suppose. The UK Games Expo was since the last time we recorded, or if it
Yes.
wasn't since the last time, it was close enough around.
Yeah, it was certainly... I think we might have recorded, but then put them out on a delay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, me and the wife popped up there on the Saturday. What was it? It was the 30th and the 1st of June.
Yeah, that's right.
It was on. I had a look up there. Bumped into a few people that we saw. I might have slightly embarrassed myself by calling Si Pete. Sorry about that, Si. It was bad as well. He had to correct me in front of my missus. And she's like, "Yeah, he does that all the time. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
So yeah, met with Si, who was playing on the Saturday. There weren't. I didn't think there was that many people playing X-Wing on the Saturday.
No, you only went to the Saturday
Only
event,
went to
didn't
the
you?
Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Saturdays was one of the regional events.
That's
so
right,
there's
yeah.
regionals all around the UK, and one of the Saturday event was another one of them, and that qualified you for the
Sunday.
Sunday Nationals.
Yeah.
So was there much going on?
What, the event or just X-Wing?
X-Wing.
X-Wing, there seemed to be about 20 people playing it, which I suppose is quite a lot. There's a lot of people playing Attack Wing. Probably more than that I saw than I saw of X-Wing, actually, which was a bit weird. So yeah, there was a few people there.
Okay. Any interesting squads you saw?
I didn't really get much opportunity to look because, as the wife said, it stinks in here. Can we go? Because it was like right at the back of the venue
With all the Yu-Gi-Oh players.
No, the Yu-Gi-Oh players were in another room. That was really creepy.
Frightening.
Really, really frightening. Yeah, go off this little side room. Oh, we've not been in there. What's in there? And you walk in, and it's just full of Asian kids playing cards, and they're proper quick as well. When they're going and they boom, 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 this. It's like, wow, what's going on? But yeah, it was a bit weird.
Okay.
You walk in and they all stop and look at you.
So what are you doing in here?
Yeah, and they've got proper referees with little outfits and everything.
Oh yeah, it's all serious
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah. But I bet there was one referee for every 3 tables of people playing. So yeah, it was really, really keen. I don't know if there was money involved.
I don't know. Part of me kind of thinks I should at least find out what it's all about, because it's so popular. I'd like to know what it is. Other part of me thinks I don't want to go anywhere near that.
No. One thing that did impress me about the Yu-Gi-Oh was the Yu-Gi-Oh stand that they have.
The official backing.
The official backing thing. Not the tournament play, but the sort of dealer in the vendor hall. That was really impressive. If you took all the Yu-Gi-Oh branding away and replaced it with Apple branding, it would work.
It was done well, was it then?
Yeah, really good. And my missus, who's in marketing, took loads of photos of it. It's like, I'm going to have this for my next stand and stuff. But no,
Nice.
it was really good.
Yeah, it's good to see things like that, because you go to a lot of these game show, and they're all stalls with just piles of boxes and not much to look at, but
No.
plenty there to see, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think as well, I've never been to a board game one before. I've been to a lot of miniatures ones, and a lot of them are just, there's a table with a load of old lead on, and it all looks the same. Whereas I think board games, because they're quite colourful, you pile them up on a table and it looks good, because the boxes look good anyway. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Some better than others, but then you're going to get that with everything, aren't you?
Yeah,
but no, it was a good day.
Of course.
Good day.
Okay, great. So those events we talked about, Scott Reed actually took out first place in the regional event. Wasn't sure what he was using. He's normally an X-wing flyer, or X and Bs. I've played against him with. I think we both played against him with 4X, didn't we?
Was it 4X? Was there a Y?
Yeah,
in there
4X.
as
well? 4X when we played him. Both played him at the same event, and I've seen him at another event playing something similar.
When I rocked up, he was done. He'd done his game, and he was just watching his dad.
Okay. And on the Sunday was the UK Nationals, and that was actually won by a guy called Keith Wilson, who was rocking it old school with 7 ties, one of them being Howl Runner with a stealth device, and the rest being just various flavours of TIE Fighter. I think they're all academies at 7. Maybe you might get a couple of upgrades on them, but to get 7 and Howl with the stealth, they're all fairly cheap.
I'm sure I played Craig at the Sanctuary event with that. It took me off in no time. It was horrible.
It can do if you.
I didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to do with it. I just flew straight at it, and it all died.
Yeah. Second place was actually, I think, more interesting than first place, to be fair. Other than the fact that Keith won an all-expense-paid trip to the States to take part in the Fantasy Flight Games World Championships event, which is quite tasty.
That's pretty good.
But the second was a guy called Dave License, and he was flying 4 lander shuttles, all with fire control system and anti-pursuit lasers. And that's just, to come second at a big event like that, it's an amazing feat, really, with that sort of squad. So, congrats to both of those guys. Dave should be particularly happy with himself, I think.
Yeah. So when you say all expenses paid,
I think it's flights, hotels, entry fees, all that sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty good. That
is pretty good, yeah.
So when you think you're going for a casual game of X-Wing on the weekend, well, this is nothing, right? I've been playing, I know you've told me off now, but I've been playing Hearthstone.
Oh, don't.
Hearthstone on the iPad. The tournaments they've won are like $250,000 for the official backed Hearthstone championships. Blizzard's Hearthstone event. I think the prize pool is $250,000. So first place is like 150,000 or something. That's like what, to play computer games? It's like, yeah, miniature gaming and being paid for it would be awesome.
Well, a chap I know at work, he does. Is it Modern Warfare? Some first-person shooter. It might not be that. It's on the PC, so it's not an Xbox one, but it might be that. I'm not sure. But he does events like that where it's cash money prizes.
That's quite cool.
Yeah.
And I know some people are dead against that sort of thing. Oh, it's a hobby, and but it's each to their own. I'm sure. Yeah. Someone who's entering a cash prize event is fully aware that it's that sort of event, and
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they evolved. Whether it's just always been part of the scene, and then it's just normal, and whether we're just a bit like. I think it's odd because we've never seen it before in the tournaments that we go to.
Yeah, it's all different. So, other than that one, have you've been playing? Played a few
couple
games, haven't you?
Played not played a lot. Played a few. Played Chris.
Any particular highlights?
Really enjoyed using the 2 fire sprays and shuttle.
Okay.
So Chris Taylor came round mine the other week, and he came round. I'd not written a list, surprisingly, massively unprepared. I'm like, what should I use? I really fancied using something different. And I've been thinking about it, but just what I fancied was Vader in his advanced with a couple of ties as like a bodyguard and some bits and bobs like that. And then when it came to it, I'm like, you know what? I just want to use my fire sprays again. So I've just got the fire sprays and the Lambda out. I've been enjoying using them. So
well, I've used a similar list. I used 2 fire sprays, and I think it was the Obsidian Squadron. Is that the next step up from Academy? Yeah, it is. And the 2 fire sprays was a Bounty Hunter with engine upgrade and Kath Scarlet with expert handling, and the idea is they're both hard to pin down. I can dodge arcs and things like that and use my back 5-inch arc as much as I use my front, and I've got a gunner on there as well, so I don't really need to focus to support my firing because my gunner does that, so I can use my actions to move around, and it was really good fun. Kath didn't really do much. I think I played 2 games with it against Chris. And I don't think he picked up stress, or no. If he cancels one of my crits, I don't think he picked up any stress in both the games.
Okay.
And the expert handling was okay, but I think the reason engine upgrade's so good is because you change your angle. So you change the angle your fire arc is, whereas expert handling sort of moves it all left and right, but it doesn't pivot it 45 degrees. So doing that boost is really powerful. Being able to put your manoeuvre dial down and have a guess at where someone's going to go. but then pivot 45 degrees either way with a boost action to bring your firing arcs in. It basically means you've kind of got a turret because you can shoot there's nowhere they can hide. You can boost one way or the other, and they should always be in your arc. Chris said at one point during the game, he's like, I just don't know where to go because you've got that flexible with a fire spray. The move doing the 3 turn as well, and then a boost. It takes you such a long way, I really enjoyed using that one.
Yeah, like I say, I'd all set for using something different because I'd use them quite a lot, and then when it came to it, it's like, oh no, I'll just get these back out of the box. Yeah, been enjoying them. Been enjoying the shuttle as well. As daft as it sounds, I think I'm starting to get
I like that shit.
Starting to get the knack of it now. Of how you deploy it, how you move it early game. When I first started using it, I was just flying it off, and then realised I can't turn. Just can't turn. It just sat around the backfield doing nothing.
Yeah. It's you have to get used to using it. We talked about this last show, didn't we?
Yeah.
Getting used to using it, and it is a lot of fun when you do. The other list I've been using is obviously since we last recorded the Tantiv's been released.
Yep.
So, because one of the things we don't do, you might have noticed on the podcast, is we don't like to talk about things before they come out.
Or prepare.
Or prepare, yeah. So, Rebel Ace is on the horizon, Wave 5's been released and all that. And, we're not going to cover them until we've got them in hands. We do have Wave 4 in our hands, so I think next episode is going to be Ben making noise as well. He flies his Defender around.
Defender.
So we'll talk about them on the next show, but yeah, the big ships are out, and I've got a C-3PO card, which costs £50, and I've been using it, and I think it's going to be amazing on a Falcon, but I've been using it on the Smuggler, 3 B-Wings, the basic ones.
It's just horrid.
A Smuggler with Millennium Falcon upgrade and C-3PO, and it is just...
Yeah.
The Smuggler's brutal, you can't really bring it down very quickly.
No.
If you focus on that early... You've got the 3 B-Wings pounding you. If you go straight at the B-Wings, the Smuggler gets right in your way. And then he's got anti-pursuit lasers on him as well.
So we played, didn't we? And that again was me using the fire sprays, you using that. And it was so difficult to just do anything to. Because you're essentially, the first time you shoot at it, you've got to do 3 damage to do anything. Which, is really tricky.
It is. It is. It's tough. And the only problem is when you do get into the sort of the final, the final dogfight with one ship versus one ship, the Smuggler doesn't die, but it doesn't do much neither because you've only got 2 shots unless you're right up close and you get 3. It's 2 attack dice on a Smuggler.
All right.
3 dice if you're in range 1, so it can be tough to actually get the killing blow through. And
weren't you using 3 dice?
No, 2 dice against you. Behave. And it can be tough to really bring ships down. So this 12 point for a win or anything less than that is modified. It can bite you with that because you can end up, although you are up, or then again you might not be up because the Smuggler's only like 30-something points when he's 40 points maybe when he's tooled up. It's difficult, but it is a really solid ship. So
because it's 40 points that your opponent's really going to struggle to take down. Like you say, if you try and focus on that, and if you do focus on it, you will take it down with a couple of ships because obviously you can only use your evade token once, you can only use your 3PO once. So if you've got multiple ships shooting at it, the second and third one are going to have essentially free reign.
Yeah. However, it's got 10 health, I think. Hull and shield between. Yeah. Millennium Falcon and C-3PO, which are probably worth, and your dice, which are probably worth 3, maybe 2 around.
Yep. Definitely
so
2.
If they focus on that and hit it, then your B-Wings are going to be doing a lot of damage,
exactly.
and that's what I've been finding. It's a good squad. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Frustrating to play against.
Yeah, I imagine, especially with it being sort of new. The C-3PO upgrade, it takes some squad building. Like we've got the Phantom now with 4 attack dice. And things like Predator upgrade as well. So you can have a Predator, and because the Smuggler's only pilot skill 1, you reroll on 2 of your dice without taking an action.
Yeah.
And so there are things that are coming to sort of power through that C-3PO upgrade. So it'll be interesting to see how the metagame goes.
Doesn't look like it's got that many guns.
On the model,
it's
got 3 on the tips of its wings, and then it's got 2 under its cockpit.
So the Defender has got 6 on its wings and 2 under its cockpit.
Yeah, and it doesn't shoot that many.
No.
It's an odd one. But we'll talk more about Wave 4 at the end, I think, before we we sign off. But
That one looks proper cool.
the model wise, I think the Defender looks like a bit of a I don't know, a train wreck really. Whereas the Phantom looks really cool.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? The little ball of a cockpit on the front doesn't seem to be right.
No.
But then that looks proper sleek and badass.
Although I do imagine the Defender flying with the ball being front and centre and all them things rotating around him.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that looked quite cool, but I don't know if that's what it does. I don't know enough about the expanded universe to know.
But then this one just looks like it just... Yeah.
Get in there. And there's some really cool rules for them as well. Other than that, the only other squad I've been playing with is I've tried out the Swarm. When I first got into X-Wing, I quite liked the Swarm. I was flying a lot of TIEs. And I've given that another go. I think I played one game with that. I played... it was 5 TIE fighters. One of them was Howl Runner with Push the Limit. And then Colonel Jax. And why the reason this is cool is because he's on the front row as you fly in. Hopefully you can get into range 1 and he makes all the opponent's ships not being able to spend the focus or evade, and then you swarm more fires, and it's pretty tasty. And what do you do? Do you fire at Howl Runner or Jax, or just start trying to drop ties?
Was that when you played Yan the other night?
That's when I played Yan. I think Yan won in the end, but the first pass was just frightening.
Yeah,
and
well, I like the Howl Runner with the push limits. That's quite cool.
I like
rather
that.
than the
everyone plays them with stealth or hull or shield upgrade. I think push the limit for the focus evade. Although you do need to plan it right, because I went push the limit, focus evade on both the Interceptor and Howl.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, so what do I do this turn? Can't K turn because I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And it was a bit tough. But
you don't want him splitting up from the rest of the ties.
Need more practice flying with a big squad of ties in formation. So
too much head scratching.
Or not, as Wave 4 might lead to. I don't think you're going to see formations as much.
No.
So I think there's some nice things that counter them in Wave 4. Okay, so I think that about covers what we've been up to. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk all about Space Mats. Right, so Space Mats. The idea of this episode is kind of, first off, answer all the questions we keep getting of, wow, your mat's amazing, where'd you get it? Because we do get, every time we post on Facebook, people are asking, because it's quite unusual, I think, the ones we use.
Is that the vinyl one or the one I made?
Both, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's more to the point. It's the fact that it's different to what's on the market. So people see you've seen the Gale Force 9 ones and all the common ones you see quite a lot. So when people see something different, they like them and they want to know where they're from. So first off, we wanted to answer that. And also there's tons of options. So we just wanted to go through a few of them and talk about, what there is out there, what your options are, what we like and why, and, go from there.
Okay.
So, first up, off the shelf, there are literally a million options. I think the best thing you can do is go on Amazon, or go on eBay, or go on any of your friendly local gaming store, anything like that.
Yeah.
And just search for gaming, battle mat, space mat, anything like that, and you'll get a whole bunch of them up in all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I mean, when I was writing some show notes and getting some links for places, all I did was Google X-Wing gaming mat. And literally every post comes up with something, and you just got to go through it, see one you fancy. Prices were round about the same for sort of the vinyl ones. You're looking around about 25 to 35 quid for a 3x3. I did find a couple of 6x3s as well for Epic Play, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, and I should put that in the notes. Yeah. There's one on Amazon for 45 quid.
Yeah.
So, there's tons of options out there. I mean, that's not a bad design either, is it?
No, it looks proper good.
Yeah. Nice one that is. And that was one on Amazon. We're going to stick links, anything we talk about on the show, all going to be up on the show notes. They're also going to be Amazon affiliate links. So if you do fancy helping us out, supporting the show a bit, use our links to buy your mats, and it gives us a bit towards the homekeeping costs of running the podcast. But yeah, we've got things like the Red Planet mat. That was Contact Gaming Accessories. And that's just, a big Jupiter on the map. I'm not a fan of those sorts.
No, I'm not either. I think I much prefer the ones where they're stars and nebulas, because they're a little bit more generic rather than, the same planet every time. And also as well, if you've got to put asteroids, you're gaming. You can't put them on top of the planet. Terrain. You put it over the planet, it looks a bit weird.
And you can, because, it's 3D and all that. It's in the background. But one of the really popular ones you do see a lot of is the Gale Force 9 range. And particularly they've got one, don't know what they call it actually, but it's kind of a red nebula. And that one's really it's actually BM002 Battle Mat, Space Gaming Mat. That's a really popular one you do see quite a lot of. And they do also one with a planet in the corner. You see that one quite a lot.
Yeah, that's not bad actually, because the planet's not the whole mat, is it?
And these are the Battlefield in a box range.
Yeah, they do a Death Star one as well, which
I really like the idea of, and they look cool. But I've seen miniatures on the Death Star mat, and they don't look good because you lose your ships in with all the noise of the
I'm not
the
sure.
shapes and shadows. So I'm not a massive fan of that.
It has got a lot of shadows on, hasn't it?
But the options are there. If you want to do the trench run, there are options out there. There's the Gale Force 9 Cell one, which is a generic space station map. You can also get, I think it's on Board Game Geek, there is a print off, and so print and play. You print it, laminate it or whatever, put them together, where you can print off sections and make your own Death Star mat. And I think it's a bit more accurate to the Death Star itself because it's not Gale Force 9 selling it, and they don't have to, because it's a giveaway fan made thing on the internet.
Okay,
they can have a few more liberties with the IP, which places like Gale Force 9 can't do. But that's
Lucas
on
ain't going to come after them.
the Board Game Geek site, and I'll definitely put some links to that one up. Now, I did ask on the Facebook page what other people are using, and there's some really good suggestions actually. One of them that I saw, which was really nice, was a guy called Ed Horn, who's actually running another podcast, so just a new one that's launched. It's the Nova Squadron podcast. The guy's from A Few Maneuvers.
Well, we can't talk about him then.
Can't talk about the podcast.
No.
He's got one of the ones that they gave away at the regionals events, and that one is absolutely amazing. Really, really like that one.
I like. So is that got a border on, or is that his table?
Yep. No, it's got just a black border on.
Just a black border on. See, I think there's too much going on in that.
Oh no, I like it. I like it because
you
there's loads going on.
Struggle to see the ships.
And this one's a really bright, lots of all fiery and starry. Got logos on it saying the regionals event as well. So that one's quite cool.
I've seen the ones where they've had them at events, and they've had the sort of 6-inch board around the edge to go on a 4-foot table.
Yeah, so you get a 4x4 mat.
Yeah,
and you can get your borders on them. A lot of people on the Facebook group actually have done the route of kind of what we did, which is either airbrushing or painting their boards, or getting vinyl printed, which works really well.
Yeah.
A guy called Nate Zettel says he uses a Games of War mat, and I think Games of War are a retailer, so he must have just bought one from Games of War. So they sell them as well. So there's tons of places where you can buy a pre-made one. Now, have you played on the pre-made ones?
Only the ones that we've got.
Okay. So I've played on a few different ones, and one of the things you see people saying is they're very slight, be very slidey. A lot of these pre-made ones can be laminated, and they're laminated in a way where you can still roll them. But because they're laminated, you can imagine ships slide across them at the slightest thing.
Do you not find that anyway? I find it all the time with X-Wing stuff, because the ships are so light, but also really quite top-heavy.
Yeah.
That one little knock and they go all over
the place. They do, but I mean, if it's on a really slidey surface, it's going to be more noticeable, isn't it? Now, one of the things you can do is some of the mats out there are a bit more slip resistant, They're made of a vinyl rather than a plastic covering, so they won't be so quick to slide and slip about. There is actually a ton of pre-made, off-the-shelf Starfield mats, and there's some great options out there, and the reasonable price as well. For you to go out and buy one, you can order one online. It can be with you next day delivery, and it costs you like £30. I think it's a bargain really for the amount of play you're going to get off it.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to how much you want to pay, doesn't it? I mean, just looking at this one that Edward put up on the Facebook page, it says here he paid $100 for it. But he says it's made of mouse mat material, so it's soft and spongy, and it's going to be quite grippy as well. But it's $100.
Yep.
If you want to spend that, great. I'm sure, and it does. It looks great. Bit too colourful for my liking, but I'm sure you can get ones more to your taste. But it's just down to how much do you want to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some other options if you do want to pay a bit less. So first up, there's a couple of guys, including Ed's one of these guys, who've said they've just used some fabric.
Yep.
Now, there's a few ways you can do this. First up is what Ed's done himself. He's actually gone out to a fabric store. So if you're in the UK, pretty much any local town centre market. So if you're Derby, the Eagle Centre Market. I know in Nottingham you can go into the Victoria Centre Market. They've all, without fail, will have a textile stall which sells sheets of material, and normally you can buy simple black felt or simple black linen or any type of cotton in black, and also quite often you will find some funky space style design.
Yeah, or something that was never designed to look like space, but actually does. Yeah,
exactly. Something starry or something like that. You might be able to find something. And the one Ed's posted up has got just lots of little sort of swirls on there and lots of stars on there. It looks kind of spacey. I'll be shocked if you pay more than £5 for a square metre for something like this.
Yeah.
I'll be absolutely shocked if you want a 3 foot by 3 foot. If it costs you more than £2 or £3, if you're buying plain black, it will cost you absolutely peanuts. You know, a couple of pounds for a square metre. Now, what's really cool is if you do get a plain black one, you can then just get some simple paint and a toothbrush. And all you do is just dip your toothbrush in your paint and then just draw your thumb across it while you're outside and you're not in your living room.
Yes.
And you'll splatter.
Put some gloves on as well. Get some latex gloves on because it will go everywhere.
Yeah, and you'll splatter the paint everywhere and it will look like stars. And that is just a super simple way of making a dirt cheap playmat. And also the good thing about them is they're really portable. All these really nice vinyl playmats, I've got a 3 foot big cardboard tube, 6 inch across, stood against the conservatory wall because it's quite difficult to store. They roll up in there. They do roll up quite small, but it's not the same as a sheet of felt which you can fold up and fold until it's fit in your pocket.
That's going to be your most portable one, isn't it? Like you say, that can go in your box with your ships, and once you get it out as well, if it's felt, it's going to be very crease free as well. You can just lay that out anywhere. I mean, the ones we've got, the vinyl ones, they roll out, but there's a bit of curve on the edges, isn't there? You have to roll them back the other way, stick them down with a bit of blue tack. But I think certainly felt would just take it straight out of your bag, give it a quick
shake out, and it's ready to go. Yeah, so they're quite useful. And top tip for if you want a bargain playmat, that's definitely the way to go. Send your missus down to the market to pick you one up, and that'll work out quite well. Or your mum, Okay, so what do we get next? Next, I suppose, gaming tables. This is what we both did first. You did yours, didn't you? And I followed suit.
Yeah, so I forget why we did them originally.
We ran a tournament.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, we ran a tournament, didn't we? God, that seems like a long time ago. So we needed boards for people to play on. So we sort of ummed and ahed at what's the best way of doing it, because we didn't want to spend a fortune, because we wanted to, even though people were paying to come, we wanted to put as much money into prizes as possible.
Yeah, it's £5 a ticket, wasn't it? And there's 20 people? Less than that in the end.
Yeah. So I had a quick thing. What I wanted to do was proper boards, something a bit rather than just sheets. Really, we've played Warhammer a bit on cloth and never really enjoyed it. So I was quite keen to do boards. So went to B&Q, see how expensive it was, and I think 3mm MDF was about £5 for an 8x4 foot sheet, and they cut it down for free as well. So just bought half a dozen of them. Essentially, your boards work out at £2.50 a board.
Yeah, so you get 2 boards out of one sheet.
2 boards out of one sheet, yeah. And then the next thing is to paint them black and get some star effects on them. The problem with that was, I thought, spray can, that'll do it. Turns out it won't. So, yeah, because it's quite shiny on one side and obviously dull on the other on MDF. Tried to spray paint the shiny side, and it took an entire can of black spray.
Yeah, I did the same. I spray painted, and it just... I even bought spray paint. Again, a top tip. I went to a car boot sale, and a lot of the car boot sales, again, it's a UK-centric one. I don't know what they'd call it in the States. It's
Trunk
basically maybe it's basically a market in a field where people turn up and sell the wares, and sounds terrible. And burger vans.
What do they call it in the States? It has got a name. I see it on Storage Hunters.
I don't know.
And they go off and they call it something. Anyway.
But I went to there, and there was a place that sold auto spares and stuff like that, and they had tons of these cans of black undercoat for cars, black primer for cars, at a pound a can. So I thought, I'll buy a couple of cans. Yeah, 2 cans to clear a 1 3-foot board. I'm glad I didn't buy Games Workshop paint at 10 of a tin. So go to B&Q or something like that, get some black emulsion.
Yeah, that's all I bought was just plain black value emulsion, and 2 coats of that buries it. I mean, I think I bought one. I think it was a 2.5 litre tub, and it was £13. And it's done me. It did us all the boards for the X-wing at Sheffield, to load it. When we did it at the Meltdown, it did my board at home, and there's still 2/3 of it left.
Yeah, so I mean, this method probably... I mean, if you want to do it yourself, and, it'd probably be on par with... If you do a one-off board, it's probably not going to be too much different from buying a play mat. But, gaming tables have the advantage over mats. But if you're doing a lot of them and you're buying in bulk, you can save a lot of money by doing it this way and... buying a big tub of paint and painting a few of them.
Yeah.
So once you got it black, what was the next step?
So once I got it black, so top tip, take this outside. Because I did it in my geek room, and it made a hell of a mess. Was spray cans. So we've got various spray cans of various different colours, mainly white, green and red, and just went at it with spray until it looked good. Sprayed it normally, so you just sort of quick blast in a big arc over the board, just to sort of lay bits of colour down. Then you can get a bit closer and leave it on there for a little bit longer. But I definitely advise you just to do it in layers as opposed to trying it in one big go. To get sort of the nebula type effects on there, and then to get the stars, you kind of like half press the spray button, and it sort of spits it out, but you've just got to be careful because it spits it out and it gets it on the lip, and then it runs down the side of the can and drops in one big massive glob on your board. So you just got to be careful with that. It's a bit of trial and error, so it wouldn't be the end of the world to try it on one before you black emulsioned it. But again, especially if you bought black emulsion like what I did, there's plenty of it. You can always just
splat over
it again and try again. But it works quite well, but it is particularly messy. And spray painting that many boards in a 8x12 room, yeah,
not good.
Not
Left
the best.
A film
no.
of dust everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere. Yeah, I did them all, and I came back. I was like, why is it so dusty in here? And then realised that it's dust from the spray cans. So yeah, definitely do them outside. I've seen a few on the Facebook page where people have used an airbrush, and you seem to have obviously got an awful lot more control with that. They seem to do really quite intricate nebulas and that sort of thing on there.
There's a guy on Twitter. I think it's at Workbench Warrior, and it's probably the one you've talked about. He's done tons of photos on his Twitter account. I think he's got a blog as well.
Right.
But Twitter's the easiest place to find him, and he's airbrushed a couple of tables, and he's done an amazing job of them. They look really cool. Some really cool repaints on there as well, so it's definitely worth checking out his stuff. Just if you want to see him, just follow us on Twitter and look back through some of my posts, and that's at X-Wing Podcast, and you'll see me retweeting his stuff, so you'll be able to find him easy enough.
Right. One I did see, I saw a completely unrelated video to X-Wing, but I saw a video on Facebook about a guy in New York painting the cityscape, and he did that with spray cans and a wallpaper scraper. Well, if you ever see the video, it's really cool the way he does it. He just sprays it on and then scrapes away the black to reveal the colours underneath, and that's how he makes the skyscrapers and the cityscape. But he also did like the moon and the sun in the sky, and the way he did that was he sprayed it black, and then he put what looked like a paper plate down, and he sprayed around the edge of that with various colours, and then take the plate away. So you get that faded and then a direct stop. I don't know if that's the best way of describing it. But you could do that with an airbrush, certainly to create like weird shaped nebulas.
Use templates.
Yeah. You know how like they do...
You can just use a bit of card or something.
Yes, you know how they do flames on cars and stuff when they're spraying that, and you use that like almost like a teardrop template, and you use one side and then the other. Yep. You could get away with doing some of that.
I'll try and find that. If you can find that video, we'll put a link up to that on the show notes as well. I also painted a board. I went slightly down a different route and used massive chunks of wood. When we ran a Warhammer event last year, we had a load of... Because when you buy a sheet of MDF or whatever chipboard or whatever you're using for your gaming table, you'll often buy it in 8x4.
Yeah.
So you'll slice off down to a 6x4, and you'll have a 2 foot by 4 foot section spare. So I had like 50 gaming tables made, so I've got a whole ton of offcuts. So I took 2 of them, cut them to 1.5 by 3, and I went down Hobbycraft and picked up a couple of foam pads, like self-adhesive foam pads, about A4 size, stuck them to the back of it, so when I throw them on my nice kitchen table, they don't get all gritty and damage the tabletop. Makes them slide around a bit less as well. And that's how I did mine. They were like pennies,
really?
10, 15 pence for each pad. And then I painted the other side the same as you. I spray canned it black. Then I've got a whole multiple various spray cans in the garage from my years of hobby, blues and reds and whites, just to do star and nebula effects. Not very good, I've just did it it took me so short amount of time that it's not even worth thinking about. And it does the job, and it looks okay. It's really easy to paint your own boards, and I think if you have some paint lying around, you have some spray cans lying around and that sort of thing, you can go and buy some wood for a few quid. It's not a bad idea, really. It's a bit of a step up from a bit of felt, I think. Yeah,
I mean, one advantage that I think yours has got over the boards that I made, certainly for the events, was yours is thick enough and robust enough that you can put it on your kitchen table and it doesn't need any more support.
Yeah, that's
so if
right.
you've only got a narrow kitchen table or coffee table or whatever it is you're playing on, something like that, because what is it, 15mm chipboard?
Yeah,
it will support itself, whereas the stuff that I made...
If it hangs over the edge, if you've got a 2-foot table...
But we knew that where we were going to take them, we were going to put it on top of 6x4 boards that were already set up for a Warhammer tournament. That didn't matter. Whereas if you were just to make those and have them at home or something like that, you'd need pretty much 3 foot to put them on to support it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just worth bearing that in mind. If you play normally on your coffee table and it's only 2 foot square.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the felt mats and the vinyl or rollout, whatever play mats. If you don't have a 3 foot by 3 foot table to put it on, they're not going to really be much help to you. So you need a board, and that's kind of the advantage of having a hardboard table.
Yeah.
Gaming table.
Yeah. I mean, the boards as well, they're dead easy to store, aren't they? They can go behind the settee or under a bed or something like that because they're so thin.
That's the thing with mine, because they're 3 foot by 1.5 foot. It's a pain in the arse having that dividing line down the middle, but it makes them really handy to store because it's not a big 3 foot square.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk now about what we did. So one of the things I did was I trolled Board Game Geek and places like that, and
trawled the internet,
looked to see what other people were doing, which is one of the cool things about the internet. There's tons of it out there. One of the things I found was that you can actually go and get any image you like, and have it printed on a banner, any size you like. This is quite useful for advertising and big banner images, and also, funnily enough, quite useful for X-Wing players, because what it means is you've got almost no limit as to what sort of mat you want to play on. There are a few things you need to bear in mind, though. The first one is the quality of your image. So you need to get a real high res, really high, good quality image.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you print it onto a mat, it's going to look garbage.
You've got to bear in mind as well, when you look at it on your computer, you've got a MacBook Air here, haven't you? Is it MacBook Air?
MacBook Pro Retina, full singing all done, bells and whistles.
Sorry, Ben. Was I just?
Don't diss the Mac.
Was I offending you there?
Don't diss the Mac.
So it's like you say, it's a Retina display looking at a 3-inch square image. That's going to look very different when you blow it up 3 foot.
Yeah, exactly. But there's kind of the technical way of sorting these things out as well, because you can find out what specification the printing company you're using needs to be able to print to the highest standard. So the company that we used was a company called bannerprintingandroid.co.uk. So if you just look for Printing Android or Banner Printing UK, they're also known as Spiral Colour, and I think Spiral Colour are a bigger company, and then the Print Android is their online service. And they've got a whole section on their website which is entitled Print Android PVC Playmats for Games Enthusiasts.
That sounds almost rude.
And it explains on there what they do and how they do them, and they can print out anything you send in, assuming it's a high enough quality. So the easiest way you can go and find a high enough quality is to head over to places like NASA and the European Southern Observatory. So this is the one I use. It's ESO.org, and this is one of the big telescopes that take photos of space. And the nice people over at the ESO are kind enough to share their full high-res photos with you. And each of their images on their site, and there are literally thousands, has got like a small version that you can view, and also a super high-res original. And like the one here is 39.1 gigabytes for the original file size. You don't need to go that extreme. Normally, if you choose the large version, you can find one that you like. So
they're also gorgeous, aren't they?
There's some amazing pictures. Now, there's a section called the Top 100, and the map that we used, I think we've got two. So we used number 4 and number 10. As you can see, I've got a short attention span, so as I went further down, it was just like, forget it, we'll pick one of the top ones. But no, they are the top 100, so the top 10 are going to be good. But there's some really good ones on there. And simple as that. So you find the image you want, and you can choose that image to go and look at. The one in first place is a bright red thing with some big bright white stars, and looks like bits of shrapnel or something.
It almost looks like space debris, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's clouds or something in space, but
clouds in space.
It almost looks like space debris.
Yeah.
Now, when you click on an image, so we're clicking on this, and it says the Very Large Telescope snaps a stellar nursery and celebrates 15 years of operations. That's the one we're looking at. On that blog post about that image, there are a whole bunch of image formats on the right-hand side. And these basically, you've got tons of options as to what you want, and there's a large JPEG, 3.7 megabytes. You can click on that, and you can see the large version. This size of this one is 3,000 by 3,000-ish pixels. Now, this is one of the things that you do need to be careful of. So while the 3,000 by 3,000 might possibly be good enough for your mats when you're blown up to 3 foot, what you want to go is for the highest pixel number you can. Now, the ones we used were all in the region of 15 to 20,000 square pixels. So have a scroll down, just pick out the ones you like. What you can do with this print Android, you can probably email them the picture. They've got a phone number on there you can use. They've got a contact email address on there you can use. They're used to people emailing and not really knowing what they're doing with image size and things like that, and they will help you out. You can get an instant quote on the website. You can select your banner. You can choose PVC banner, custom size, and then choose 3 foot by 3 foot. And then you get to upload your artwork on there, and then just email them up a follow-up email to say what size you want. Now, we got 3 foot by 3 foot squares, and one of the things we kind of wish we did was get 3 foot by 4 foot. Now, the reason for this is you're still quite narrow to play across, so you're not having to lean too far into the table, but you end up with an extra 6 inches at either end. Now, if you roll that way, the flaps that try and flap back in on itself will actually be the 6 inch of excess on either side, which you'll be able to put your cards and things like that. You hold your playmat down. You will pay a bit more. That puts the price up to about 20 quid. Whereas if you order a 3 foot square, you're paying more like 15 quid. But as you can see straight away, not only have you got total flexibility over what image you want to have, and trust me, I am tempted to have a photo of my face as a playmat. Ben's rolling his eyes because he knows it's true.
He's not kidding. We've already had his face on a T-shirt.
Yes, more than one T-shirt. But you're not at all restricted as to what images you have, and it's cheaper than some of the off-the-shelf ones. The quality is really good. The image quality is amazing. I think the finish quality is not... I don't think it's up to the standard of something like one of the Gale Force 9 laminated ones. However, they are a PVC banner, so it is just a vinyl cut banner. It's not rough cut edges, but they're not finished edges. It's just a sheet of vinyl cut. But I'm really happy, and cheap enough that if you get fed up with it after a few months, You just pick another image and order again.
I mean, we've played on it half a dozen. Well, I've played on it half a dozen times or so.
I reckon it's been out for. I bet there's been more than 30 games on it.
Yeah, I bet. And I've never once thought, well, it's a bit dodgy.
No.
The only thing was, as we spoke about earlier, is the edges rolling up.
The edges rolling up, which
Yeah.
we could have dealt with if we'd have known at the time. Order a wider one.
Yeah.
Or even if I'd have ordered maybe just a couple of inches wider,
Yeah.
it
Makes
might
all
have
the
helped a
difference.
bit. Yeah, a couple of inches wider makes all the difference, yes. Just a bit of a bigger one would have been handy, but I don't think you need it. You could just order the 3-foot
Yeah.
squares, what we've got, and they're really good. I'm really happy with them. We've got 2 different designs. So, I think we've got a bluey, sort of darker one, and then a one with a lot of red on
Yeah,
it.
a lot of red.
And they're both really nice.
Yeah.
So that's printandroid.co.uk. You can also search for Print Android and Spiral. I think it's Spiral Printing. This is all going to be in the show notes. I'm going to put a link to this. In fact, actually, if you just go to the link, xwingpodcast.com/playmat, and that will link direct to the site. Space Mat, that's the one. Space Mat.
Space Mat exclamation mark.
Yeah, so xwingpodcast.com/spacemat. I'll put a link directly to that'll link you directly to this website where you'll be able to find the be able to order one. These prices I've been quoting, like 15 quid, that's including postage as well.
Yeah.
So that's including UK postage. So the mat itself comes in at like £12. So if you're local to wherever they are, I think Leicester 01625. I'm not sure on area codes. I think the Leicester, but I might be wrong. If you're local to them, you might be able to pop in and save yourself a few quid on postage if they'll do that for you. But you can.
Even so.
It's Cheshire they're based in. You can.
Even so, it's a bargain, isn't it?
Yeah, absolute bargain. Give them a call, drop them an email. The guy I was dealing with, I think his name was Jamie, and he was ever so helpful. I didn't really have to do much at all. I actually emailed him all my stuff, and he sorted it all out without me having to go through the website. So that one's really useful. And the website again for the images from the satellites is the ESO.org. That's the European Southern Observatory.
Where are the satellites?
In space.
In space.
Yeah, I was going to go to a tangent. No, I'll go for it. So, my partner, when I was talking to her about satellites and the moon is a satellite, asked if the moon's a satellite. So does that mean we put it up there? Yes, Kelly.
Yeah.
She's a good girl, bless her.
How long have I known you two? And that's not the daftest thing she said by a distance.
Not the daftest things either of us have said, to be fair.
That's true.
But no, European Southern Observatory, ESO.org. You can also find this sort of stuff on the NASA site, but I might be wrong, but I think NASA charge for them. All these images on the ESO website are free, but you can get them anyway. Just make sure the pixels are as high as possible.
Yeah, definitely double check. Don't just Google image space and send that off because you'll end up with just a big.
If you find one on
thing.
Google, I would be surprised if they're like 1,000 pixel square, whereas these are 17,000 by 18,000. So I'm not sure if you'll have to crop them yourself or if Print Android cropped mine for me. So get in touch. There might be a bit of a charge for any extra work they have to do to make the images fit, but it won't cost you much. And if you can do it all yourself, that's even better. But just get in touch with them. I'm sure they'll be happy to help and take your money,
Yeah.
So, just drop them an email if you're unsure. Okay, so I think that's covered off the shelf. It's covered what you can make, DIY, and it's also covered what we use. So we'll take a break. Then when we come back, we'll get things wrapped up.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Right, so a couple of things we want to talk about before we get out of here. First off, I want to give a shout out to some of the other podcasts I've been listening to. Because there's a few new X-Wing ones sprouted up in the last... is it about a month ago we sat down to record,
Yes.
I think? Maybe a bit more, maybe 6 weeks ago. So since then, there's been... Obviously, we'll sit down and we'll do 2 episodes normally.
Yeah.
We're not doing tonight, but normally we'll do 2. So in the last 6 weeks or so, there's been a couple pop up. The guys from the Heroic 28, which is a 40k podcast, and I think they do a few other shows as well. I think they do one called Cowboy 40k. Don't listen to these at all, so apologies if the guys are listening. I don't, 40k, so I don't listen, but I know of them. They've just launched a X-Wing podcast called The Kessel Run. I've listened to that one, listened to all of episodes in the last week, I think, while I've been driving around. Quite good, that one. Really enjoyed it. They're in the States.
I do need a new podcast to film a morning commute.
There you go, because the Bad Dice Daily's wound up.
One's finished, yeah.
So the Kessel Run podcast. Now, I'd like to say you can find all these on iTunes, but these podcasters make it so difficult to find the shows. You can't just search iTunes for X-Wing because no one comes up.
If I can't... So there you go. There's one thing. So I've got an app on my phone. I've got the Apple Podcast app.
Yep.
And I've also got, what's it called, Instacast.
Yep.
If I can't search for it in there, I ain't going to listen to it.
Yep. So they are on iTunes.
Right.
Whether you'll be able to find them by searching for X-Wing, I don't know. But if you search for Heroic 28 or Kessel Run, you should be able to find them. Or just show notes. I'll put them in the show notes. So they're quite good. There's a whole... What I like about those is there's quite a few of them on the show. I think there's 3 of them, maybe 4 of them. So it's a good dynamic.
Yeah.
I think a couple of them are vehemently rebel and the others are imperial.
Okay,
so it's very us and them.
Quite good, yeah.
Which is quite nice. I like that. Whereas we're about we play a bit of both, whatever. There's a bit of rivalry between the rebel scum and whatnot, and the galactic peacekeepers.
I do like that. That is quite good.
Another one's Nova Squadron, which is another one from the States. They are, with their gaming group, is quite competitive, I think, including the 2013 World Champion is in their gaming group. Not on the show, but he's in sort of the wider group. So
he got a really special Range Rover.
He's got a really special Range Rover, which he bangs on the table at all opportunities.
Yeah.
So they are, I think they're focusing on the thicker end of things, the kind of what we did with Bad Dice on the more in-depth tactical talk sort of side of X-Wing. That one's...
As opposed to what Bad Dice turned into of just...
Mincing,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cakes. Yeah. So they on episode 1, they called it the dress rehearsal. That's Nova Squadron. They again are on iTunes, and you can again possibly find them by searching for X-Wing. More than likely you won't, and you'll have to search for Nova Squadron.
Okay.
There's another one from the UK as well.
Ooh, can we tell them?
I think they're from the UK. Not entirely sure. They're called Winging It.
Yeah. I've just found them on Instacast, which took some doing.
I haven't actually listened to these. That's why I'm not sure. So,
right.
But I have seen it advertised, and I don't get it. It's so difficult to find.
Well, we've just paused and taken 10 minutes to try and find Winging It, and what was the other? Nova Squadron.
Nova Squadron was easy, I thought. You typed Nova Squadron in, it came up.
But I had to know it was Nova Squadron.
But they've posted on all the forums, the Facebook pages. They're putting the name about everywhere, but they've only done one episode, so it takes a while to come up. Winging It have done a few. There's 4 or 5 episodes. The best thing I've found for them is wingingit.co.vu, which is their Tumblr page. So you can check them out on there and listen to the shows. I'll try and listen to them over the next, by the time our next episode comes around. So that's on my feed, ready to download.
Yeah, I've just got them both on the
it's good to see some other X-Wing podcasts out there. So it's I know the guys from Nova Squadron emailed us to ask if we fancied coming on the show to have a chat to him, but we're maybe on the way. I sort of said I'd love to, but I think I'm going to be busy. Yeah, we'll see how we get on with that one, but it'll be interesting to see how they go. So it's good. I like the interaction with other podcasts. We did it a lot with the Warhammer one, and it's great. I know how much work goes into making a podcast, so it's great to see other people doing it as well.
Easy, isn't it?
Easy, innit? Yeah, it's turn up and talk,
Turn up and talk. What's so hard?
So check out the other shows.
I've done that for years.
Yeah, thanks for that. So check out the other shows as well, and send them some love on the Twitters and the Facebooks.
The more the merrier, isn't it? At the end of the day,
definitely.
More content is got to be better.
And if any of you guys are new podcasters and have not been doing it long and would like some tips on the technical side bit behind the back end of it, which can be a massive pain in the backside sometimes, give us a shout, because I'm always happy to help if I'm not swamped by nappies and whatnot.
His ego.
And it feeds my ego. Yeah, behave. No, I'm happy to help.
No, it's true. He is.
So moving on from the podcasts, I want to talk about some events. There's quite a few X-Wing events in the UK. There's always a game store somewhere doing them. So I want to help promote them a bit because while there is a lot, they are hard to sort of pin down as to where they are, and the community in the UK is, although it is well geared towards Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures UK and Ireland Facebook page. It is kind of difficult when it comes to the events. They do have an events section. You can go on there, you can click the event, and there isn't actually many on there. Well, there's a few, but it seems like there's a couple of guys who run a lot of events and keep posting them on there. So,
having relatively new getting into X-Wing and coming from a Warhammer background, there doesn't seem to be one particularly good place where they all are, where all the information is.
No.
Warhammer scene, TWF, everything that you need is on there. There doesn't seem to be that thing for X-Wing. I don't know whether that's...
It doesn't seem like it at all. And, this UK and Ireland Facebook group is, it does do a good job of it. But the issue that you have with it is that store owner, and this is the exact scenario. So let's say Ben here is a store owner.
Hello.
Wants to run an X-Wing event. So he goes on his own Facebook page for his store, and he creates an event like you'd expect. And then he uses the built-in Facebook share function to start sharing that event to other people. And also people who are going to his event also use that and share it with their friends. And this works really well. It's a good way of getting... So if you make an event, if you're running an event, make a Facebook event and share it. And it's a really good way of getting it out there. Now, the way this interacts with the Facebook group is a bit odd, because you can share it to the Facebook group and it goes up on the main feed, and you'll see it, and it'll come, and it'll be there for about 4 hours, and then there'll be half a dozen posts above it pushing it down the feed.
Yeah.
It doesn't automatically get pasted into the events section, so you have to go there yourself, not on a mobile device, because it's not mobile device compatible, so you have to do it on a desktop or a laptop, and you have to go in there and create a second event. So then you've got 2 events up and running, and you've got to manage them both. You'll get some people added to one but not the other, and it just makes things difficult. So, the guy who runs the UK Facebook group is doing a cracking job. He runs the rankings. His name's Scott. He runs the rankings. He did the patches. He, runs the events. He does his best, but he's getting frustrated with this, and I can see he's made a few posts. People should add the events, but people aren't going to. They're lazy. They want to do what's easiest, and that's just the way it works. So one thing I'd recommend, if you are creating an event, there's an awesome website out there. It's called Wargame Tournaments website. Again, I'm going to link to this in the show notes, and I'm actually going to stick a link to this on right at the top of the X-Wing podcast website. So if anyone wants to see X-Wing events or find out what's going on anywhere in the world, rather than us showing you on our website and just being another listing, we're just going to link to this. And you'll open the page up, and it'll show you every event that's running for all game systems whenever. And then you can start narrowing that down a bit with a whole bunch of search criteria. So you can choose your Star Wars X-Wing games system and then narrow it down. You can choose by country, you can choose what months and things like that. And at the moment, there's 7 X-Wing events in there. Guardians of Tyr, which is a store down in Milton Keynes, are running an X-Wing Championships. I think that's like a multiple tournament weekends, and they're all rolling into one another. They're running that on the 5th of July. And the next one is the 5th and 6th of July, which is a Leicester event. And again, an event in Leicester. It's an X-Wing tournament, 2 days. Then there's the Battle of Ord Ibana, which is at the Sanctuary Gaming Centre, not far from here, which I think both of us are going to.
Yeah, we're going to that, aren't we?
Escalation event, which is fun. Toy Soldier after that, that's the next one. That's the 19th and 20th of July. And then after that, we've got the Dragon Slayers are running one at the Sheffield Slaughter venue, which is a Warhammer event. It's the Davy Sports Club in Sheffield. It's just outside of Sheffield, and that's running over the weekend of the 9th of August. We've got the Warlord GT, which again, it's a Warhammer event. They're going to be running X-Wing. I think they're running that in the evening on the Saturday night at the venue.
Is it not Friday night?
Might be the Friday night, one or the other.
I'm not sure then. No,
and then we're on there as well with our Blood and Glory tournament.
Hey.
And so this is a bit of an announcement. We're actually going to be running an X-Wing tournament there's actually going to be 3 days of X-Wing. Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be getting our friend Jan Novak in to run things.
Thank you, Jan.
I think he's going to run 2 days and play in the other.
Yep.
And me or Ben will pick up the other day for him, or we might try and rope Chris Taylor into doing that.
I want to play.
You want to play as well?
I want to play.
Well, you'll have to be running X-Wing or you'll be running Warhammer, so I'm afraid. So X-Wing's going to be running, and this is what's cool about the event. We ran it for Warhammer last year, and we had Warhammer on 3 days. We had tons of stuff in the evenings, Friday and Saturday night, and we're going to do the same with X-Wing. We've got plenty of space in the room upstairs for probably 30 players, maybe more. So during the day on each day, there's going to be X-Wing events running. I think we're going to do straight up 100. We're going to do escalation. We're going to do epic play. Different event on each day. Then in the evenings, we're going to be running 60 points, which is kind of our signature event.
Yeah, the quick and dirty event.
And I think there'll be a whole ton of the Warhammer field in that as well.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be 90 Warhammer players on site. So they'll be joining in. At least some of them will, because there's tons of small Warhammer events going on. So if you're an X-Wing player and fancy trying out some other game systems, there's going to be plenty going on over the weekend if you want to check that out. So that's Blood and Glory, and it's in Derby. The full of details haven't been announced yet, but it is going to be running over the 21st to the 23rd of November. But yeah, just keep your ear to the ground. We'll be talking about it more on the show. I think that about wraps up the event. So there's another one which did get mentioned on the Facebook page.
Sorry, going back to that website. Whose website is that?
So that's a guy called Simon Brown. He's a friend of ours from
Give him some
Warhammer.
credit.
And his username on the forums is Cerebrus. You can follow him on Twitter, which is, I think it's just at Wargame Website. And, you can check out the website, and there's absolutely tons and tons of various tournaments for all different game systems you've never even heard of. And he does it all himself. He keeps it all updated. And as much as Scott's doing an amazing job of the X-Wing group, I think when you've got a ready-to-go event calendar like this, I think the two joining together and the X-Wing group promoting the tournament calendar
it's just something
is a good idea.
That seems to have been that's missing from certainly from my limited experience from the X-Wing scene. That's there with the Warhammer scene is one central location with all this information on.
Yeah, because it can be difficult. So, that's some events. There's just one more I want to mention as well. I think the weekend that we're going to the escalation event at the Sanctuary on the other day, so we're going on the Saturday. So on the Sunday, there's actually a tournament in West Brom. It's another. So it's another escalation. It's called Let the Wookiee Win, and it's in
West Brom.
It's in West Brom, and you can find the information on the Facebook page. It's just look for Faulty Dice on Facebook, and you'll find that. But yeah, that's the 20th of July, that one is. Okay, so there's tons going on. That's just July, and there's absolutely loads of events. Hopefully, if people are local, they might pop down to the Sanctuary on the 19th and might see us down there.
What is there, half a dozen people signed up for that already?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's capped at 12, so... capped at 16, so it should be a good turnout we're hoping for. Okay, so I think that wraps up this episode. Just final thoughts. Wave 4's here. We've got hands on it. Anything you're particularly looking forward to?
I like the Phantom, and I like the... Where's it gone?
The Headhunter, the small X-Wing type looking one.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on the E-Wing.
No, I'm thinking opinion the same on you. I like the Headhunter, I like the Phantom. I kind of like the idea of running a list with just two defenders absolutely tooled up to the max and nothing else. So defender, heavy laser cannon, engine upgrade, all the rest of the toys, and just see how it goes.
Yeah, be interesting.
Yeah, but the Phantoms, I think as a whole, I think the whole wave is going to shake things up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've not really looked through it, but you were just showing me some of the cars today, and some of them do look quite interesting.
Yeah.
And we were talking a bit as well, weren't we, about sort of shaking X-Wing up anyway, rather than it having another edition, essentially.
Yeah, I think the
12-point format we were talking about, the waves
12
that keep
point for the
coming,
win. And
12 point for the win, yeah. The waves that keep coming that seem to change the meta. It's good.
Yeah, I'm excited by it, and I'm really looking forward to playing some. I think that Phantom is going to be the centre of a lot of lists, and I think you're going to need to either build with it and around it,
Yeah,
or
to
gear
deal
up,
with it.
gear up to deal with it. And if you don't, you kind of might be left behind a bit.
I feel a little left behind now. I've not bought a Tantive
Well, the
or a
first thing
Transporter.
you said, that's a good point, actually. We're going to this escalation event, and I'm thinking of jumping on the Imperials because I played Rebels at the... Did I play? Yeah, I played Rebels. I've been playing Rebels for a while now, so
yeah.
thinking of jumping back to Imperials, and straight away I'm like, well, I want a Phantom, and I'm not really bothered what else. I kind of like the idea of a Phantom and 2 plain fire sprays, but then, you struggle because you can't really tool up your Phantom with that. So, but you straight away thought Falcon. Get a big turret out to deal with the Phantoms.
I've not used Rebels at an event at all, so I thought, go with them. Just come what may, go with them, work something out, because I've barely played with them. I've got, one of everything, 2 of some, and barely used them.
Best thing you can do then is get all your Rebels in like your Go box, and put your Imperials on your shelf. And then when it comes to play again, you'll be just like, I can't bother to re-rack my Imperials into my Go box.
Exactly. I also need to go back and maybe touch up the painting as well on the Rebels.
Yeah, because you've done the Imperials, so that's why I've been using them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at mine, because after the last episode we painted one of the X-Wings on the fly, and I got another 2 done already, and I'm like, I just need to go around and do some more, because they're sticking out now. It's like they're done and the rest aren't.
I certainly need to, at minimum, is black all the stems and bases.
Yeah, sure. Well, mine done, I sprayed all of mine except my new stuff. But yeah, I'm thinking Phantom's going to be the one I'm using for a while. Also like the idea of bombers. I've bought another bomber, so I've got 3 now.
Yeah.
Slowly working myself up to a bomber swarm. So I quite like the idea of 4 or 5 of them, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, well, I think that about wraps things up. Next episode, I don't know at the moment. No foreseeable date on this, because my baby's actually due on the 23rd of July, so that would be kind of when the next episode would be hitting.
Which is what, 3 weeks from today?
Yeah,
give or take.
I think we will probably skip the next step and try and make it for a month, maybe 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So we'll have plenty to talk about then as well. I hope. Okay, guys.
So we're not doing an episode because you're having a baby. Yet you're going to get plenty of X-Wing in the meantime.
Paternity leave. What I'm going to be doing all day.
Okay.
I'm going to be ready for you finishing work at 2:00, coming around to play X-Wing.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. That's the plan. That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you later, everyone.